Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Jake and Justin in the morning. We episode, what is this, 7? Yeah, I think it's 6. Yeah, 6, 7. I don't know. Anyway, we have a special guest. Our special guest today is Evan Lillianthal. Did I pronounce that correctly, Evan? Yeah.
Morning, guys. I'm happy to start my morning with you two today. So.
Oh yeah, we're happy to have you. But I first have to ask you the number one question. What did you have for Breck today?
So I usually don't eat Breck. 99 times out of 100, I don't eat Breck. It just so happens that this morning I had half a banana and 2 Milano cookies for Breck.
All right.
Ooh, nice.
Okay, Evan, I have to ask you a very important question. Justin knows. Have you ever heard of multigrain Cheerios?
Yes, I have heard of multigrain Cheerios, but unlike Justin, I'm not brave enough to try them.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, you're not missing much. I'm just gonna.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Oh, okay. I want you to explain to me now. Give me an actual flavor that it is equivalent to.
No.
Because to me, it tastes like paper. It tastes like paper.
No, it doesn't.
Licking an envelope tastes better. I'll tell
No,
you.
it does not.
Okay. Fine then. Maybe if I put like a little fruit in it, maybe it'll like soak in the flavor. Maybe I'll give that a try next.
Your taste buds have to get used to it. I just think my taste buds are used to it.
It's not. I don't think it's like coffee, where it's an acquired taste. I've never heard anybody say multigrain Cheerios are an acquired taste. Anyway, guys, we have a great show for you today. We got a lot of top topics to talk about. I know you guys missed us on our 1 week off, but we're back at it again. And we're going to start off with this. The Jets quarterback, Sam Darnold, has been traded to the Panthers for some draft picks. I have my opinion on this, but we're going to start off with Evan. Evan, I know you're a big Jets fan. What do you think about the Sam Darnold trade?
I'm a big Jets fan. I'm a season ticket holder, supported this team my entire life. From the Jets' perspective, I think what they got for Sam Darnold was as good as they were going to get at this point in time on, the beginning of April. From the Panthers' perspective, I like it a lot. And from Sam Darnold's perspective, I like it the most. This, he's 23 years old. He needs a fresh start desperately. And I think he's going to get it in Carolina. I think he'll have the best running back he's ever had. He'll be reunited with Robbie Anderson. He'll have, without a doubt, the best offensive coach he's had since he's been in the league. And for Sam Darnold, I think it's just a massive win.
Jake, what's your take on this?
I thought the Jets definitely won the trade. They got a second and a fourth rounder next year, which is big. That's two very important picks. They got a sixth rounder this year. Now that clears the spot, for them to draft either Zach Wilson or Justin Fields. Probably Zach Wilson, second overall. Who at first I wasn't sold on. Now I'm starting to warm up to him. I think he's the best fit. He's a better fit than Justin Fields. And Sam Darnold need a fresh start. It would have been really odd if Zach Wilson and Sam Darnold were both in the quarterback room. If they're both trying to be the franchise quarterback. So they got him out of there. Sam gets a fresh start that he needed. Like Evan said, he reunites with Robbie Anderson. Now he's got DJ Moore there. McCaffrey, he's healthy. He's a superstar. I like the coach there role. The after coordinator there, Joe Brady, is excellent. I think he'll be a head coach in a year or two. And it's gonna be interesting for Carolina. I think when it comes to grades, I would give Jets like an A or a B. I would give Sam Darnold an A. Carolina, I think it's incomplete because they got Teddy Bridgewater there, who under the right circumstances can be an average starter. Last year with not a great offensive line. He had been a starter in a few years. He didn't have McCaffrey. He threw for 3,700 yards, only had 15 touchdowns, but threw 11 interceptions. Only 11 interceptions. Sam, we know he has talent. Can he be a franchise quarterback? That definitely remains to be seen. Can he be a decent starter? Very possibly so. We shall see. They also have the 8th overall pick. And if a guy like Justin Fields or Trey Lance is sitting there for them, especially since Teddy Bridgewater is the guy that they could easily trade, because for a quarterback, he doesn't make that much money he's only got, I think, 40-something million left on his deal over 2 years. They could move him for a couple draft picks and, take Lance or whoever and have them and Darnold compete. Maybe Darnold can, hold the football until Lance is ready, especially if you get someone like Lance who probably won't be ready for a while. So I think it was a good trade for all parties.
It's very interesting talking about it from Carolina's perspective. I saw on Twitter the other day from the NFL on CBS that with Teddy Bridgewater, their sports line simulation gives the Panthers 7.5 wins. With Darnold, it gives it 6.3 wins.
I saw that.
Their percentage of winning the division with Bridgewater was 3.6%, with Darnold was 0.9%, and to make the playoffs with Bridgewater 17.4% and with Darnold 6.2%. Just very interesting. From the Jets' perspective, if this sports line is right and Darnold starts more games, then they end up losing more. It's good from the Jets' perspective. Just, I guess, sports line CBS is really down on Darnold or high on Bridgewater.
Here's my opinion with the Sam Darnold trade. I just gotta say, good riddance. That's all I gotta say. Yes, you can make an argument that he was under arguably the worst coach of all time in Adam Gase, who can't even coach a peewee football team correctly. But Sam Darnold in his 3 years has shown zero improvement since his rookie season. And also when it comes to him getting traded to the Panthers, now he definitely has some weapons, especially in Christian McCaffrey. He no longer has to deal with Frank Gore getting 0.2 yards a carry. But if the Panthers wanted to rebuild, I don't really think the start was to have your quarterback lineup be Teddy Bridgewater and Sam Darnold. I just don't see it. But you know what? Hopefully we'll get a great draft pick. I'll be honest, I know people are getting more sold on Zach Wilson. I'm satisfied with Justin Fields just as much as Zach Wilson. So either will be fine with me. And if Jacksonville is stupid enough to not draft Trevor Lawrence, I pray that the Jets pick him. Anyway, moving on to the next topic, basketball. Kevin Durant on the Nets is back after being out for what seems like an eternity. James Harden, however, is out for 10 days due to a hamstring injury. So, how would this? So based off the fact that Kevin Durant is coming off of a injury, he's been out for like a couple of games, and I'm assuming that he's going to be playing limited minutes. How do you feel this affects the Brooklyn Nets? Excuse me.
All right. So, I mean, this is a team that, they basically signed or traded for every single player. They had, they already had Durant and Kyrie and Joe Harris and others. And they said, all right, let's trade for James Harden. Let's go get LaMarcus Aldridge. Let's go get Blake Griffin. I mean, breaking news. The Nets actually just signed Thanos to a minimum salary deal. I mean, they might as well at this point. Anyway, I think KD getting back is huge. They need him to win a championship. If he's not on the floor, they can't win a championship. But they also need James Harden. Especially if the Lakers are healthy, if they have LeBron and AD. Even with Durant and Harden, that's going to be probably a 7-game series. Even if they play something like Phoenix or Utah, if they don't have both Harden and Durant, even if they have one of them plus Kyrie, then I don't think they win a championship. So that's great that Kevin Durant is back. Hopefully he's done harassing people on social media and he can actually play basketball. But they need both Harden and KD on the court. I think if both of them are on the court and Kyrie's not, I think they can still win. But if Harden or Durant is not there, even if Kyrie's there and one of them's there, I don't think they can win a championship.
I want to jump in and I want to disagree with you because I think, first of all, what KD did in his last game, he was 16 for 16 from the field. He was perfect. Coming off the bench, just unbelievable. I mean, this guy can shoot anywhere, anytime, like it's the easiest thing in the world. I think if you have Harden and Kyrie, from what I've seen when Durant was injured for the last, it feels like forever. I mean, he got hurt like 2 weeks before the All-Star break, and they said he'll be back before the All-Star break, and then we didn't see him for a month after the All-Star break. But Kyrie and Harden are remarkable together. They barely lost when the two of them played. If you add a healthy Durant, if Harden is at, 50, 60% just controlling the ball, distributing, I mean, he's turned into an amazing point guard since joining the Nets. I was down on Harden in, the last year or so in Houston, and I didn't know whether the Nets were making the right decision, but he blew away all expectations. I mean, he turned into a selfless point guard, which is something I never saw coming. I mean, when he was the Houston, all he'd do dribble, 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 shoot. He's not doing that with the Nets. I think they could definitely win with Kyrie and Harden. I think they could win with Harden and Durant. I think they could win with Kyrie and Durant. The East is good. The top two teams, other than the Nets, the Sixers and the Bucks are good, but they can't compete with two of these superstars, let alone all three. And I'm not even a Nets fan, but it's just I'm watching these games and it's screaming to me, this is a super team. And if they don't win the championship this year, even with a healthy Lakers team, I think that's going to be the surprise of the NBA season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the synergy they have on the court is fantastic. I really didn't think, just like Evan said, I definitely did not think that Harden would be good there because he was so big on the ISO ball thing. But then again, I also have to say that as somebody who has watched the Rockets a lot, I can say that he did have a lot of unreliable players on that team. Like he had Chris Paul and Russell Westbrook, and then for like a month he had John Wall until he moved to the Nets.
They really tried, though. I mean, say what you will about Houston in the front office, but I mean, they tried. They were trying all these different pieces. You want Chris Paul, we'll get you Chris Paul. You don't like Chris Paul, we'll get rid of Chris Paul. You want Westbrook, we'll get you Westbrook.
Yeah, they did. They were trying to accommodate him as much as possible. But then, and he did have some good players on his side that just for some reason didn't work out. But you also had players like PJ Tucker, who aside from hitting the corner three is a walking personal foul. So I can kind of understand why Harden would play that ISO ball, but he was very lethal with it as well, which is why I can understand not a lot of people caring as much about it compared to some players who will hog the ball just to end up missing. Anyway, Evan, you talked about the Lakers for a second. That is our next topic. Let's talk about the state of the Lakers real quick. Currently, as the quick swap. I like it.
Okay.
I love it. I love to see it. Anyway, last time I checked, the Lakers are 5th in the West. They are down Anthony Davis and LeBron James, which is by far their two best players without a doubt. They just got Andre Drummond. They just got Ben McLemore from the Rockets, who I think is a very good pickup. In my opinion, he's a good 3-point shooter. I've seen him play on the Rockets. But they're still losing games, and they're not doing that well. I think they were originally a second at one point underneath the Jazz. So now this is an exponential drop because now the Nuggets are ahead of them, the Clippers, the Suns, the Jazz are ahead of them. So is it possible that they could tank to the play-in tournament, or do you guys think they're just going to barely scrape by? And if you guys think that they are going to make the play-in tournament, do you guys think they'll have they'll have a chance to stand up against other players in that seating area for the play-ins?
So I think what's remarkable about the Lakers is even with at the beginning of the year when AD and LeBron were playing, they were first in defensive efficiency. When they lost AD, they were still first in defensive efficiency. without AD and LeBron, they're second in defensive efficiency. So Frank Vogel is the best coach the Lakers have had since Phil Jackson winning championships with Kobe. And he's really good. They have a solid staff, and they're still playing, good defensive football, basketball. You watch them, and at this point, they just don't have the shooters. That you have Montrezl Harrell, which I think is a great addition from the Clippers last year. The point guard, I'm drawing a blank on his name, but these guys have heart, and there's not enough skill in a Lakers uniform to win these games against the West. The West is totally stacked, and it's hard for them to compete without, the two best players. You take out the two best players of every team in the league, apparently other than the Nets, and you're going to lose games. I'm not worried at all about the playoffs. I think that if LeBron and AD are healthy, it doesn't matter what seed they are. It doesn't matter where they're playing. LeBron doesn't lose series very often, and if he's healthy and they're both ready to go, I still think they're one of the favorites in the West.
Yeah, the problem with the Lakers, there's no guys that they can lean on, to say you take the last shot, you put the team all on your back.
Well, they have once LeBron and AD are healthy, they're the guys.
Yes, that's true. But right now they don't.
Last year, especially in the playoffs and in the bubble.
They do, but I'm saying that's the problem. That's they don't have enough shooting. They don't have a one. And put this way, if they have both LeBron and AD, I don't see a universe where they do not get to the finals. Beat the Nets, that will depend on some factor. Will Brooklyn be healthy? How healthy will LeBron and AD be? I think they get to the final. That will ensure they get to the final. If they don't have both of them, if they have LeBron only, I think they could still get to the finals, but I don't think they'll have much of a shot against the Nets. If they only have AD, just because LeBron's been to the play, he's carried a team to the finals before. AD really hasn't. Yes. I would say they would lose to let's say Phoenix or Utah in the Western Conference Finals.
If the Lakers are healthy, the only thing that's stopping them from winning a championship is the health of the Nets. If the Lakers aren't healthy, their health is what determines how far they can go. I agree. I think LeBron can drag this team really far on his own, but without AD, I don't think they can win a championship.
I definitely agree with you, Evan. The Nets definitely need to stay healthy. I did make a bet that if the Nets don't make the finals, I will wear a TB12 cap. And as a Jets fan, I hate Tom Brady with all my heart. I know hate is a strong word, and I will use that strongly. Anyway, let's move on to the next part. March Madness, the big dance. Now, first things first, I need to have a funeral here. Let me first change my background real quick. There we go. Candle lights. Everybody, now let us take a brief moment of silence for the dead brackets of people who picked Gonzaga that were going to win the Natty.
I can't talk. I had Michigan, Ohio State in the finals, so my bracket was dead rather early.
Okay, well, for the people who actually had Gonzaga in. Okay, moving on. I mean, what a series! Really, what a championship that was. Really sad. I just want to hear you guys' thoughts on the Final Four and the championship in general.
All right, so I thought this was a great tournament. There was so much cool stuff. There was Buddy Buckets. Jim Boeheim's son. First two games went off. He got his nickname because I think in the second game when he was walking down the court, you could hear him. He said under his breath, "I'm a bucket. I'm a bucket." He was trash talking. He had the two guys the two brothers from Eastern Washington who looked like something out of a movie. You had there was some weird facial hair and hairstyle. There was the kid from UCLA who, now that he lost, hopefully he can cut his hair. You had the kid from Chicago with the mustache, the kid from Gonzaga with the mustache, two kids from Eastern Washington.
That kid from Gonzaga has the greatest mustache I've ever seen.
Yes, he does.
Wait, Evan has the greatest mustache I've ever seen. That mustache is fantastic. followed by the kid from Gonzaga.
Yeah, Drew Timmy's got some mustache. Gonzaga was 31-0, but I mean, a lot of people thought Gonzaga to win, but if you really looked at it, Baylor was just as unstoppable as Gonzaga, and probably even better defensively. Just they had some COVID issues. They lost some key players down the stretch in the regular season, which is why they lost a couple games. And also, you look at their road. Baylor played some tough teams. Gonzaga didn't. I mean, was it a Mickey Mouse run? I don't think so, because they did play. They did play Creighton, who I think is a very good team. UCLA is obviously an 11th seed, but this team was red hot. Johnny Juzang was just completely going crazy. So I don't think it was they played all garbage teams, but certainly wasn't as good as Baylor. And also Baylor being in the Pac-12, was in a decent conference. Gonzaga is not in a very good conference. So, in the regular season, they didn't really play anybody. Doesn't take anything away from being perfect. They beat some decent teams as well. 31-0 is 31-0. That's incredible. But still, they had an easier road, and they ran into, Baylor, who was, probably like the co-best team in the tournament with Gonzaga, and they ran out of gas.
It's just unfortunate for us as a television audience that that UCLA buzzer beater game in the Final Four was just so incredible. No, it was the Gonzaga. I'm sorry, it was the Gonzaga buzzer beater final shot that was just incredible. And then we got to the championship game, and it was a dud. And that was never really competitive.
As for the Final Four that I saw, I have to admit UCLA definitely looked like a force to be reckoned with throughout this bracket, throughout this I don't know what to call it, tournament. Even though they were such a low seed, I mean, I mean, if it wasn't for that buzzer beater from Zuggs, they would go into double overtime. I mean, Gonzaga won, but my God, did they have to work for it?
And I mean, you can make the argument that the championship game would have been more competitive with UCLA instead of Gonzaga.
Definitely. But I'll say this with Baylor, what a performance they've had. What's his name? Damian Mitchell on that team. Look out for him. Well, he was such a star. He didn't miss that guy. Seriously, I watched him play against Houston, then I watched him play against Gonzaga. The kid never missed.
Lockdown defender too. Great defender too.
He was a great defender. I'm telling you guys, watch out for him at the draft. Watch out for him. I think he's going to get drafted quite early. I'm not sure to who, but I have a feeling that he's going to be that player that a lot of NBA teams are going to be looking for.
A lot of general managers and a lot of owners, they watch these tournaments and they love, these household names that perform so well and that are a draw to the fans once they're drafted.
Evan, I got a question for you real quick about your bracket. By any chance, did you pick Oral Roberts to win?
No.
Because I did. I had them beating Ohio State.
I mean, I had Ohio State losing in the championship, so I'm not usually good at the brackets, and the COVID really took a lot of the made it difficult to pick teams this year.
Well, I picked Oral Roberts as the for a meme pick just for it to be right. If I bet on that, I probably would have won a couple of grand. Anyway, let's move back to basketball.
Before we move on, I just want to point out one thing. Roy Williams losing with UNC for the first time in the first round of his career, and then retiring, and just what a heck of a career he's had, and such a great coach. And it was always really fun to watch UNC Duke games in the last decade. So, the sport's going to miss having him on the sidelines.
Oh, yeah. Yes, absolutely right. Anyway, moving on to the NBA again. We are, surprisingly enough, guys, we are actually at the final 20 NBA games of the season. So I first want to ask you guys, what have been your thoughts at the season, considering we're about 3/4 of the way done with it?
I thought the season's gone very well. Because considering they had a speed through the off season, they had a very the shortest off season ever. They shortened the season a little bit. 72 games. 10
Really
teams.
training camps.
Yeah, short training camps. Technically 10 teams make the playoffs. There's gonna be a play-in tournament, and then the two teams that come out will be the 7 and the 8. There's been really very few COVID issues. In the NHL, the entire Canucks team basically has COVID. So I don't know if they'll be able to play all 56. NBA, there's been a couple of games canceled here and there, but that's bound to happen. So I thought Adam Silver's done a very good job. It's been very competitive. There's been a lot of surprises. No one thought the Suns would be second in the West. No one thought the Jazz would be the best team in the league. The Eastern Conference is a mystery behind Milwaukee. I think people thought Philly would be competing for the top spot in the Eastern Conference. Milwaukee took a step back, which I don't think a ton of people would have thought since they upgraded over Eric Bledsoe in the offseason with Drew Holiday, though I did lose a couple pieces. And I thought the season's gone very well, and hopefully, continues, with no COVID issues through the last 20 games. Hopefully we have an exciting postseason.
It's been really impressive that we really haven't had any COVID issues. It's been a joy to see. Before all these sports leagues start, me personally, I'm thinking, there's no way they can do this season. There's something that's gonna happen. It's gonna be a COVID issue. It's like what's happening in the NHL now, but it's been pleasant. It's been really nice. And even though there wasn't any, before the season stuff, they really didn't have a lot of time to prepare. It feels like the Lakers just won the championship last year, and then they were starting back up that first week. But it's been really fun. It's been fun to watch basketball. It's been good basketball. We've had, other than the Lakers, stars being out, most of the stars have played. Giannis has been playing. Ben Simmons has been playing. The Celtics have been weird, but they've been relatively healthy. It's nice to see these star players actually being on the court. The Suns have been such a pleasant surprise. I mean, Chris Paul, he gets a lot of crap from his teammates, but he's such a great NBA player. He's just the perfect type of point guard. Yeah, and I'll tell you guys a funny story. So I was on the fence about buying NBA League Pass because I like to watch the Lakers, and you can't find them anywhere on the East Coast. And I shell out the $125 for NBA League Pass, and then AD gets hurt. And then at least, 4 or 5 of the next 8 games are on TNT, so I don't get the home broadcaster. And then LeBron gets hurt. So I'm pay $125 to watch Lakers losing basketball. I feel like I'm watching, 2016, 2017 again.
The beauty of sports is that you never know what's going to happen.
Never know.
There's some teams that were terrible last year that will come out and rise to be these great teams this year. Every little trade, every little injury, everything, every win, every loss creates a story throughout the season that's really big. Like, whoever thought that James Harden, one of the greatest scorers we've ever seen in the NBA, would go to the Brooklyn Nets, and the Nets would become the next Warriors, really, the next death lineup.
And I love thinking about how James Harden got out of Houston, because it's the absolute worst way you'd ever want, especially from a home fan's perspective, you'd ever want to see your player, leave using that manner. Jamal Adams left with the Jets. He was tweeting out insults with the coach and the owner. James Harden got really fat, and he stopped caring, and he stopped getting along with his teammates and with ownership, and just like he forced their hand. And it's awful, but it's so impressive that he did it. I mean, he looked awful in those first 10 games with Houston, and then he goes to the Nets, and that first game with the Nets, he somehow lost 20 pounds. It was just magnificent.
Yeah, but anyway, what I really want to talk about here about these final 20 NBA games is that slowly during these games, playoff positions will be clinched. So I want to talk about who you guys think are going to be the 7th and 8th, the winners of the play-in tournaments for the East and the West. So let's start off with the East side, which I like to call a dumpster fire because there's only a few teams that are above 500.
I would love to see the Knicks make the playoffs, and they play such a true grit, really try hard, play on the defensive end, all hard. They don't have any great players. They have players that are ascending, but they don't have that number one. But I would love to watch especially the Knicks Nets first round. I don't think the Knicks would win a game, but that would be, a series to watch.
Yeah. The four teams that are actually in the playing conference for the East are the Celtics, Knicks, Pacers, and Bulls. So I definitely agree with you. I want to see the Knicks in it because I think they've been having a really good season. Tibbs, I think should be the coach of the year. Jake, who do you think are going to be the two people that will take the 7th and 8th seed in the Eastern Conference play-ins?
I'm gonna take the Knicks. I'm gonna take the Bulls. The Celtics, they've had a tough year. I mean, this team has talent. They're not a scrub. I mean, they got Jason Tatum, who's a great player. Jalen Brown's a good player. I just think they've lost confidence in the coach. They don't play very good defense, and I just see them trending downwards. I know they picked up Evan Fournier, but that'll only improve so much. They need to get another big man, and they didn't. Indiana's got way too many injuries. I think the Knicks, because of their defense, and also Thibodeau's been here and done that a lot of times. He almost went to a championship a couple times with the Bulls. And speaking of the Bulls just got Nikola Vucevic. Now they got Levine and Vucevic. They got some other young players. They were really struggling before they got Vucevic. Now they're starting to play a little better. So I'm going to take the Knicks and the Bulls to be the last two spots.
On the East plans.
Yeah, no, I think taking the Bulls is very interesting. It's hard to look at that Celtics team and imagine that they're not going to be there at the end. But I mean, they haven't looked like the Celtics teams of old. They don't have that identity. There's just been so many roster turnover. Each of the last couple of years, there's been a great player there, and then the great player leaves. I thought with Kemba Walker that he would really fit in really nicely in that Celtics culture, and just has not shown what I thought that he would be there. So, I mean, I'd love to see the Knicks. It's always fun when the Celtics don't make it, but I'd like the Celtics. The Bulls, those are good series.
Anyway, now moving on to the West, the teams that'll be in that look to be in the play-in so far are the Mavericks, the Grizzlies, the Spurs, and the Warriors. Go.
It's just crazy. I mean, you look at those franchises; those are great franchises. I mean, got the Warriors, the Spurs. And the field's wide open. I mean, the Lakers could end up dropping from wherever they are, 5-6 seed to the 8-9 seed. In 2 games.
Two teams getting in for the winning the play and taking those 7 and 8 spots.
I gotta tell you, if Steph is healthy, it's so hard. Even though they don't really have a great team, it's so hard to bet against someone that's been there, that's done that, that's hit those shots when he needs to hit the shots. Probably the Warriors. It would be a good choice. The Grizzlies are up and coming. I don't think they're quite there yet. And John Morant is amazing, but there's just not enough around him.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I would take Dallas and Golden State. I think Dallas is a very good team. I mean, Luka, I'm not a fan. I think he needs to stop crying about every single call. But my God, he is a magician.
Yeah.
I think when LeBron retires, that's the guy who'll pass the baton to. And also they got Kristaps Porzingis, assuming he's healthy. They got Tim Hardaway Jr. So they have a decent team. They're actually red hot right now, Dallas. They could end up not being in the play-in, but we'll see. And also, the Spurs, they're just not the Spurs of old. Popovich's not getting any younger. They got rid of Marcus Aldridge. DeMar DeRozan's gonna be afraid. He's 1 foot out the door. They're very young. I don't see it. Memphis is just, like you said, is very young. John Morant actually, honestly, is taking a step back from last year. I still think he'll be a superstar player, but you're right. There's not enough around him. They need to add some veterans. And I think as long as Steph's healthy, that team has been to the playoffs. 2 years ago, this team was one of the best in the conversation of best teams ever. And 2 years later, might not even make the playoffs in the expanded field, which
shows how
is crazy.
Is. Yeah, and how things turn on a dime. And if your favorite teams have some success, just enjoy it as much as you can.
Yeah. So yeah, and they have a couple other pieces. Kelly Oubre's his shot's gotten better. Wiggins can play if Wiseman's healthy. Obviously Steve Kerr's been there for 7 years. So I would take Dallas and Golden State out of the West.
I would also take Dallas and Golden State.
Yeah, I'll definitely take Golden State in that one, especially because I know that Klay Thompson is injured. You know, the 50% of the Splash Brothers is not there right now, but Steph Curry, he's known to be able to carry a team with ease. The man doesn't miss. And it's scary whenever the ball's in his hands. I definitely think they'll have a shot. Although the Grizzlies do show some promise, I do agree. They are young, but I think they will get better over time. And I definitely do think the Mavericks could win as well. There's no Luka's a great player. Porzingis is a great player. Tim Hardaway Jr. is a great player. Tim Hardaway Jr. and Kristaps Porzingis were originally on the Knicks at one point. I was very upset about that. I hate to see it. Moving up, which moves us in to our weekly segment. You hate to see it. All right, Evan, here's how we do it. We show you a few clips. I got some courtesy of House of Highlights. And you're gonna rate out of 10 how much you hate to see it. One you don't hate to see it. 10 you really hate to see it. If there's any clips where somebody gets hit in the groin, you could go over 10. How does that sound?
Love it. Let's do it, man.
All right. So, Jake, you said you had some clips first.
Yes, I do. I'll go first.
Jake, the floor is yours.
All right, so first, let's start with this. So you would think free throws would be pretty easy for NBA players. I mean, they miss them sometimes, but Jakob Poeltl, like whatever this guy's name is, I can't pronounce his last name. What's his name? Jakob Poeltl. Jakob Poeltl on the Spurs. Look at this. Airball's the first one.
Share your screen, guy.
Oh, I gotta show my screen so everyone can actually see. My bad. All right. All right. Let's start the video over. So Jakob Poeltl, here he goes. First one, airball, barely even touches the net.
It's just the confidence he had when he shot that. He knew it wasn't getting anywhere near the net.
And then, all right. So he's like, all right, he airballed one. All right. He's like, all right, I'll be on that top 10. Let me just sink this one. Whatever. And then he does the same thing. He airballs 2 free throws. Evan, how much do you hate to see it? 1 to 10.
I'd probably give that at least an 8. I mean, maybe even an 8.5. I mean, he was so confident in that first shot. And he's like, I can do this. And he's all cocky and he misses it bad. And then he does the exact same thing and misses it even worse than the first time. That's pretty bad. I mean, you really hate to see it.
Those free throws I like to call everything but net. I'm going to give it a 9 just because you missed the first one. That's okay. Happens. You don't miss 2 in a row as an air ball. 9 out of 10. I hate to see it.
I'm gonna go up a 10. You can't airball free throws. There's kids in 6th grade playing, like where I'm from in East Northport, like the local kids basketball league, like kids in middle school and high school, it's called Eaton's Neck. You can't be airballing free throws in Eaton's Neck when you're in 7th grade. You definitely can't be airballing them when you're in the NBA. 10 out of 10, Jakob Poeltl, come on, man.
He definitely did not show improvement from the first one to the second.
No, he's like, oh yeah, I got this. And then the second one's like, all right, all right. He's already pissed. He's gonna be on he's gonna be on. You're gonna be on. You hate to see it. He's like, and then he misses again.
He definitely missed the second one worse than the first one, which definitely makes the whole situation even worse.
Yes. All right, now I'm going to go to the second one. This is an interesting one. All right, so I'm a big Mets fan, but I'll admit their last game that they won did not come without controversy. So for context, no. Go away. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care about this. Oh, sorry guys.
We're getting a free audiobook.
Hold on. All right, I apologize for that. That was weird. Anyway, so this is the contact. It's bottom of the 9th. The score is tied at 2. Basically, with 1 out. Michael Conforto was at the plate for the Mets. The count is 1-2. The count is is 1-2. Let me just make this full screen, and this is what happens.
Bottom of the ninth. Let's see. A perfect pitch.
All right.
Strike zone.
Let me rewind. Look where that pitch is.
It's perfect. It's 100% a strike.
That's a strike.
That's a perfect strike 3.
How much do you hate to see it, Evan?
I mean, for me, my favorite part of this, I was listening to Sports Talk Radio in New York, and I just saw like they were talking about it, and then I was getting some instant reaction from them, and then I turned on SNY and I was looking at it myself, and it's just, even if you're a Met fan, I mean, you hate to see that win does not feel good. You know, your player clearly kind of, maybe not Astros banging on a trash can cheated, but that's definitely cheating the game of baseball. I mean, that ball, you look at it, that ball is a strike. That is a perfect strike 3 call. And, Conforto knew that he wasn't actually going to be able to hit the ball. He didn't even try and hit the ball. He just tried to get hit by it. And, you almost admire the strategy because it worked and they won the game. But, as a fan of baseball, 9, 10 out of 10, you hate to see it because, it's just wrong. Everyone leaves with a dirty taste in your mouth. And I just got to say one thing before you guys talk about this. The Mets have a tradition where after they, I guess, win a game or do a walk-off, they rip the guy's jersey off. They ripped his jersey off after getting hit by this pitch. And it's like, really? Maybe you should read the room. You didn't really do anything to kind of deserve getting your shirt ripped and the Gatorade dumped.
Yeah, I'd give this a 10. I'm not a baseball savvy person by any means, but I definitely know for a fact that is an absolute strike, no doubt about it. It wouldn't have been. If he did get struck out, that wouldn't have been the worst because it wouldn't have went to extra innings. You did have one more out left, but I did watch. He kind of leaned into it, and he took I don't even think he got hit by it. I'm convinced that Tim Peel, I forgot what referee he was in NHL, the one who wanted to call the penalty on Nashville, the hot mic guy. I'm convinced he was umping this game. 10 out of 10. I hate to see it.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 7. I'm a Mets fan. I'll take the win, but that was clearly a strike. The umpire, Ron Cope, with the home plate umpire, came out and said, like, that was a strike. I should have called him out. He admitted that he made a mistake. And even though he went, I'm not sure if he leaned in. He may even go swing like, oh, I don't want him swinging, like his elbows like just kind of out there. But I'm not sure if he leaned in or not. He said he didn't, but obviously, he's probably not gonna go up there, but like, yeah, I cheated, and just and say that. But that's not the way you want to win. The Mets just hired a new owner who's been trying to fix the culture. Obviously, when we had the thing with the GM Porter, they fired him right away. They've condemned the things that have gone with Mickey Callaway, the ex manager. Cohen just hired like someone to like make sure to review like all the hiring, make sure like they don't have anything in their past or anything. So that's a shame. 7 out of 10. Only reason it's not 10 is because the Mets won. And I'm a Mets fan.
It's very interesting when you watch this play. Is the umpire's initial instinct is to strike him out, and then he goes like this, and then he goes, well, it hit him, because Conforto kind of backed away as though he got hit, and I'm sure it did kind of hit him, but it was really close. That ball really did not deviate from where it was going to go.
Yeah, I do think it hit him. Like if you look really, really closely, it like
close.
It did have a little bit of redirect. I did think it hit him, and also you can kind of hear it if you're. I did think it hit him, but still, like the ball was in the strike zone, and I think he did probably lean over. So that should have been strike 3. It should have been 2 outs. Should have went to the next batter. So that's a shame.
If you get hit by a ball that is in the strike zone, it shouldn't matter whether it hits you or not. It should be a strike.
And it's supposed to be like,
yeah,
that's the rule, And also, I know that was like on the inside corner, like how much can you cut the plate that a ball in the strike zone hits you and you're not, leaning into it, even if it's not on purpose.
It was a great strategy by Conforto. It worked, but I mean, that's not something I'd want to see. We should just, MLB should be grateful that it happened in April and not, Game 7 of the World Series, because then they'd have a problem.
Right.
Oh yeah. Anyway, let's move on to this. So first, quick background. Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers was the celebrity host of Jeopardy. Now, if you guys didn't see this Savage's final Jeopardy question, who wants to kick that field goal?
It wasn't Aaron Rodgers that wanted to kick that field goal.
Yeah, obviously Aaron Rodgers did not want to kick that field goal. But I got to ask you, he got roasted on the host of a show that he is guest hosting on. How much do you hate to see it?
I love it. I mean, it was his first. It was his first showing. It was his first Final Jeopardy game, and it was perfect. I know you hate to see it, but I love to see it, and I love that he probably enjoyed that, thinking that that's a little dig on the coach, and the coach kind of deserved a little dig because it's a question that a lot of people are going to be asking for a long time in Green Bay. Who wanted to kick that field goal? Because the quarterback didn't.
I'm gonna give it a 6. I mean, that was hilarious, and Aaron Rodgers was literally speechless. He's like, it's like, I want that to be the right answer, but I'm sorry, that just isn't the right answer to the question. What he really wanted to say was, I don't know, but I wanted the chance to score a touchdown and tie the game, and then send to hopefully we can force overtime and win the game and go in my second Super Bowl. But someone Matt LaFleur decided, you know what, let's kick a field goal. So 6 out of 10, just because it was really funny, and I don't hate to see it that much. So I do love Aaron Rodgers, so I kind of feel bad for him a little bit.
I give it a 7 out of 10. I thought it was very funny, but I got to be real with you. Aaron Rodgers took it like a champ. Really, he was probably maybe was a little bit annoyed that somebody would ask that, but you wouldn't have known. You should play poker with this kind of with that kind of concealing of emotion. Anyway, let's move on to our next clip. We're actually going to change it up a little bit, and we're going to do a how much do you love to see it for this one clip here. So D Rose, always injured. Let's watch this play from the Knicks. So goes forward, crosses, turns, spins, pops that in.
It is so nice to see some good D Rose again.
Yeah, some good. Yeah, it almost looks like we're back to prime. It almost looks like a little bit of a taste of prime D Rose, what could have been. So, how much do you guys love to see it? 10, you really love to see it. 1, you don't love to see it.
I love it. I mean, seeing D Rose kind of look like this, he doesn't look like this anymore, looking like pre-injury. If you squint your eyes, you could pretend he's wearing that Bulls uniform and this is his MVP year with that move. It was just so impressive. It's just this guy, has had his entire career essentially derailed because of these debilitating knee injuries. He could be the first NBA player to win MVP to not make the Hall of Fame. So just seeing him still being able to ball out even a little bit on these, these short moments, it's so nice to see. 10 out of 10, love to see it. I wish I could see it more.
Yeah, I'm gonna go off with 10 out of 10. He's been a great addition for the Knicks. He's played well as coming off the bench. He's really helped a lot of these young players like Emmanuel Quickly and RJ Barrett. He's embraced the role of being a mentor and a role player. Obviously it's his second stint with the Knicks. He played with them a couple years ago. Obviously, Tip has been his coach for most of his career. So he knows the coach. He likes the coach. He knows the system. He knows his role, and he's played really, really well. It's really nice to see Derrick Rose, staying healthy and playing, even though he's not a superstar on his way to the Hall of Fame. It's good to see him playing quality basketball. I'll give him a 10 out of 10, and of course, he's helping my Knicks win some games.
And it's just good to see him healthy from an actual mental or physical standpoint in terms of, he had COVID really bad. His entire family was really sick with COVID, last month, a month and a half, 2 months ago. So it's just really nice to see him being able to kind of work his way back into basketball shape, because if the Knicks are going to make the play-in game and make the playoffs and actually try and do something, they're going to need D Rose, to give them minutes and to give them leadership.
Yeah, I definitely give this a 10 out of 10. I miss Prime D Rose. I always pray that he comes back as a star like he did in his MVP season. I think that had he not gotten injured in that game they shouldn't have even been in, he'd probably be the next superstar. He really would. He'd probably be on Space Jam 2 right now. Anyway, next clip. Well, I actually have 2 clips for you guys. So first things first, Marcus Morris gets ejected. Let's watch this clip.
Rondo is such a good ball handler. It just, I know that wasn't the point of the clip, but he's just Rajon Rondo, Chris Paul, Steph Curry, some of the best ball handlers that the NBA has seen in a long time.
Oh yeah.
The expressionless Kawhi. Looks like you just asked him what he had on his bagel this morning.
Yeah, so Morris got teed up and ejected from the game. But what I find to be funny is this. His brother on the neighboring team of the Lakers also gets teed up and ejected from this game.
That was a bad shot.
Oh, it's bad.
There are just some players that you hear double technical and ejected, and you hear the player and you're not surprised. And the Morris twins, they're great when they're on your team. They play with a lot of heart, a lot of passion, sometimes too much passion, but they are like the double tech kings in today's day and age.
Yeah, they really are. The Morrises are such hotheads, but the thing is it's funny how on both days when they're basically in the same location of teams, they both get ejected for the exact same call. How much do you hate to see it?
If you're looking at the screen now, you can see that the Clippers play after this. So this happened literally in back-to-back game.
Good observation. You're right.
Yeah, back-to-back. Yeah, exactly. So how much do you hate to see it?
Maybe they just had dinner plans. 10 out of 10 for keeping your dinner plans with your brother, even when you're supposed to be playing at that time.
I'm gonna give it a 7. That's a good point. They can go up after the game like, yo, I got ejected. Really, I got ejected too. Hey, it's a share of brotherly love. I'm not a huge fan of Morris brothers. I think they're I think they complain too much. I think they're a little bit dirty. They get ejected too much. But I feel bad for their poor mother, who's I know you guys are they're professional NBA players, but I taught you to always be respectful, and now you get ejected on the same day in the back-to-back games, in the same in states very close to each other. That's not what I taught you. The mother must be ashamed. So just for that, I'll give it a 7.
This just reminds me of Rasheed Wallace as a Knick yelling at the ref, "Ball don't lie," and immediately getting ejected. It was so funny on a Sunday, and everyone's just saying he just wanted to watch football.
I actually give it a 9 out of 10. I thought it was really funny. Because they're just such hotheads, those players, and you just hate to see it. Next clip.
I would love to see how many career ejections each one of the Morris brothers have together, and then what they are combined. Like, if we were to say over under career ejections for the two of them combined at like 35, like, do you think that's too high?
I think that's a good ballpark.
Feels like it happens at least 2-3 times a year, each of them. They've been in the league for a while, the both of them.
Oh yeah. So now moving on to the next clip. So you guys thought that Joaquin Phoenix was a great actor in Joker. You guys might have thought Rami Malek in Bohemian Rhapsody was a great actor. But you know who's even better? Thanasis Antetokounmpo. Watch this. Let's point 25. Let's find a close up here first of him just absolutely just flopping here, and let's point 5 that. All right, so Powell. I mean, I know they're selling it, but come on. How much do you hate to see it? Evan, we'll start.
I hate flopping in the NBA. Like, it's one of the things that they brought over from soccer that I just think really it puts a damper on the sport. I mean, 9 out of 10 really hate to see it. You know, it's one thing to kind of get hit and like fall, but he's at least 5 feet away from where he was hit. And I know like that's like just him falling backwards, but you know, you're gonna get the call anyway. You know, you're Giannis, right? That was Giannis. You know, you're Giannis Antetokounmpo.
That was his brother Thanasis.
His brother? Okay, so I mean, the refs see Antetokounmpo, they're gonna call it. You know, they're gonna think it's Giannis. You know, just be a little better. But I mean, it is entertaining to watch. It is very funny.
I'm gonna go with a 10. Can we stop with the flopping? What is going on with the flopping this year? It's got to stop. It's so stupid.
You say this every year.
I know, it's so stupid. And also, Giannis is like, bro, this is not a good look for me. I'm supposed to be the leader of his team, and my own brother's going like this.
But I mean, I gotta say, it's like the Conforto thing. You know, it worked. You know, he got the foul called. You know, you hate to see it, but when it works, you know, if the refs are rewarding it, then you know, it just stinks that we have to watch it because it's not entertaining or fun to watch.
Yeah, I like Giannis, but Thanasis, come on, man, be better.
Yeah, you know, if you think about what I sometimes think that like whenever Giannis and Thanasis meet in the locker room, it's almost like Venus meeting Serena. Like, yo, I trained you. Everything you learned from me. So why are you flopping like this?
Without me, you wouldn't be here. Show more respect.
Exactly. Without me, you wouldn't be in the league. Same thing with Costas. 10 out of 10. Hate to see it. Let's move on to the next clip. 2 clips here, kind of the same thing as like the one with the Morrises, but let's watch. So, Draymond Green. So this is when you know that Draymond Green's a bad shooter. Watch, it's almost like Moses parting the Red Sea. It's like here's a passage to Draymond. There's nobody there. Just leave him wide open.
And he doesn't even go for the shot.
He doesn't even go for the
everything
shot.
you need to know, that he had at least 10 feet between he and the defender, and he gave it up.
Yo, watch this. But then the game 3 days later, I kid you not. Watch. The exact same thing happens again.
He passes it.
They leave him wide open, and he passes it over to Oubre.
And I got to tell you,
see it.
I saw something on Twitter where he said something along the lines of, you know, this is why you can't leave me open after hitting a shot, and it had like a picture of his 3-pointers in the last like 15 days, and he only made more than 2 3-pointers like in one game, and it's just. But I mean, if there's someone that is so egotistical about their abilities, that's so overblown, it's Draymond Green. You know, at his prime, you know, he was great, but he's not in his prime anymore. You know, 5 years ago, maybe he would have taken that shot and he maybe would have hidden it, but now he doesn't even have the confidence to take it.
I cannot stand Draymond Green. I think he's a complete imbecile. I don't think he's that good of a basketball player.
But he single-handedly got LeBron's single-handed Cleveland championship. So let's thank, if you're a LeBron fan, let's thank Draymond, because without Draymond, we don't know, maybe you wouldn't have that championship in Cleveland.
Yeah, the guy's a dirty player. I can't stand him. He's got a big mouth, and he's not. I mean, he's got no offensive game whatsoever. I mean, he's wide open for threes. He's like passes over, Steph Curry. What a wuss. 10 out of 10. Hate to see it. Draymond, come on, man. At least take the shot, you wuss.
Draymond is like LeBron if LeBron didn't have his amazing athletic abilities. He wants to do a little bit of everything. Draymond would love to give you, 10 points, 8 rebounds, 11 assists. That's what he loves to do. But when you're being left wide open like that and you don't take the shot in today's NBA, you need to take that shot because you may look at the end of the game and you lose by 2 and you think, man, I really wish I had taken and made that 3.
Yeah, I give it 10 out of 10. There's 2 things that are really funny about it's funny because this shows that he clearly doesn't have enough confidence in himself to shoot it. Because if Steph Curry, James Harden, any of those dominant 3-point shooters were in those were in that position that he was, they'd be taking that 3 and they'd capitalize on it. And it also shows the confidence of the opposing team. Of the opposing teams that know that he's not going to make it anyway, which is why they're like, guys, why do we even need to defend him? Why do we need to defend this guy when we know he's going to miss?
I swear we've watched Knick games in which there's a 3-point shooter 10 feet, the guy's and he takes and misses the shot. So, Draymond, he knows he's going to miss the shot, and you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, and he doesn't take them, and he's fine with that at this point. So if it works for the Wizards, they're going to need that scoring at some point, though. You can't only rely on Steph.
Mm-hmm. Next clip. So this is very similar to Jake's, but I found this one as well. I thought this was funny.
I was watching this game live, and I saw this live. It's
I once again like to call this piece "Everything But Net" by Kyle Kuzma. Oh, wait, never mind. That was not it. I hate to see it.
You hate to see it when he makes those shots.
I hate to see it when I make that. Okay, anyway, here we go. This is where it is.
And look at the time. This is pretty much the last quarter.
I don't know. I thought that was worse than Jakob Poeltl's as well. I thought that was terrible. How much do you hate to see it?
It's really not what you want. I mean, the Lakers have been dying for a dominant scorer, and Kuzma has been trying so hard to, be that third option on that team. And, you watch him and, maybe he's not as good as we all think he is. But that, from a pure entertainment standpoint, 10 out of 10, you hate it, but 10 out of 10, you love it because it's just so freaking funny. And it's so unexpected from a shooter like Kuzma.
I give it a 10 out of 10. What is Kyle Kuzma like? First of all, what is your hair?
Yeah.
What is on your head? It looks like the sun is literally on your head. Yeah, and do you see his outfit the other day? Like, what was he wearing on the bench? I just don't think this guy's not that good of a player. He can't dress for his life. He's got the worst hairstyle in the NBA. This guy is a bona fide scrub. 10 out of 10. Kyle Kuzma, what are you doing with your life?
See, what I love about this shot is I can't tell if that's LeBron, third from the right on the bench, but there's a guy just looking down like, did I really just see right there? Did I really just see what I saw? Am I seeing professional athletes?
Yeah, I give it a 10 out of 10. Moving on to the next clip, Marcus Smart took a book out of the J.R. Smith 2017-2018 final game 1 with the shot clock. Marcus Smart doesn't realize that you get the 24 seconds back. Well, just cross bodies.
I mean, as soon as he touched it, the play clock started going down. It didn't reset once he touched it. So, then
it's true, but he should have known that it reset. Look, Kemba Walker's trying to tell him, didn't you know that? Yeah. He's like, did you? Like, what were you doing?
I gotta tell you, watching Marcus Smart's game, I'm not shocked that he didn't know this rule, and it's sad because you'd think Brad Stevens, who's such a smart analytical coach, would have made sure that his his players know the rules. Like you think,
he's like, what? He's like, what did I just witness?
like I consider Brad Stevens to be like a Bill Belichick type, and Bill Belichick, his players know all the rules. I'm almost more disappointed in Brad Stevens in making sure Marcus Smart doesn't know it in that situation, especially being someone that would rebound that tip.
Yeah, but anyway, guys, how much do you guys hate to see it?
9 out of 10. I like it when the Celtics suffer.
I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. Marcus Smart. Your last name is Smart. Meanwhile, you're one of the stupidest people on the earth.
Yeah.
Like, every single basketball fan, player, but knows that, at the tip, you get a new 24 or a new 14, whatever the rule is now. What is wrong with you? You're not that good, and you're not smart. Okay, change your name to Marcus Stupid. Okay, 10 out of 10. What a complete idiot.
I give it a 10 out of 10. I hate to see it. On top of that, the pass is just terrible anyway. Like, it goes over the basket. And they're like, it's like, how did he not know? Look at Evan Fournier. Evan Fournier right here is like, what are you doing?
Evan Fournier is not the smartest of the bunch either.
No, he's not the smartest of the bunch, but at least he knows that, you don't do a crossbody right here.
I would have loved to see Brad Stevens' face without a mask on in that moment.
He probably would have lost his mind.
Just like imagine if we didn't get to see LeBron's face doing that thing to J.R. Smith. I would have loved to see Brad Stevens' face during that moment.
Yeah, exactly. Brad Stevens right now just looks so upset. He's like, this is what my team has become.
He's like, this never happened to Butler.
All right. Well, that concludes You Hate to See It. Now time for our final segment of the morning, Jake and Justin's Athlete of the Week. So, Jake, who is your Athlete of the Week?
All right, I'm going to share my screen one more time. I'm going to pull him up on our screen. He's a guy that, some of you may not be familiar with. Yermin Mercedes, the catcher for the Chicago White Sox. This is a guy who is a 28-year-old rookie. He's been in like 5 different organizations. And this is why he's hitting. He's hitting .556 with a .571 on base percentage, a 1460 OPS, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs, 5 runs scored. He's 15 for 27. This guy, where does this guy come from? Journeyman, and he's a journeyman. You see, he played in 1 game in 2020. 2019 he was in the minors. And this guy has come out, in the first, couple weeks and just completely stolen the show. And he is maybe the best hitter in the league right now. Yermin Mercedes, 28-year-old. You're my Athlete of the Week. Keep ranking for my fantasy team.
It's very interesting because going into the season, the Chicago White Sox were, for me, probably the biggest question mark. They had all these bunch of really good young players, are not proven, have not really done anything in the playoffs. But, they hire Tony La Russa, they hire a Hall of Fame manager. And, it just shows that baseball isn't all analytics. Baseball is, the managers can help. And, your Athlete of the Week is a prime example of that. It's very curious. I don't know if he would be able to be, or if he would be doing this without, the overhaul that the White Sox had in the offseason and hiring Tony La Russa as the manager.
Yeah, definitely. Based off those stats, once again, I'm not the biggest baseball person, but those are looking like some nice stats, especially for the start of the season. Good for him. My Athlete of the Week is going to the Sacred Heart University football team because
Pioneers!
Yeah, because the Pioneers are in the Northeastern Conference Championship against Duquesne, I believe. And I think they're going to definitely wipe the floor with them. Our running back, Julius Chestnut, is looking like an NFL prospect. When he gets into the league, I'll certainly be putting him on my fantasy team. If he plays if he plays in the NFL the same way he's been playing in college, I'm ready to see it. So go Pioneers.
Evan, do you have an athlete of the week if you've seen any that you'd like to share?
Not off the top of my head. Shout out to Aaron Judge. Hope you get better quick. The dude's always injury prone. Really hope that he comes back and is the athlete of the week next week.
Oh yeah, definitely. We'll see how he does. Anyways, guys, that concludes Jake and Justin in the morning. I'd like to thank Evan so much for coming onto the show. You were a great guest.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm at Darth Zenos, Zenos on Twitter. Hit me up with your sports. Love talking sports anytime, any day. Thank you guys so much for having me. It was a blast.
Oh yeah. Well, guys, be sure to follow Darth Zenos. That's what it is, right? On Twitter. Be sure to follow the real Jake and Justin on Instagram, because we always post crazy stuff on there. We always show that we're having a great time behind the scenes. Maybe as much fun, if not more than we are, while doing these podcasts for you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your morning.
Good morning, everyone.